the Browns, they're 4-1 right now. The Cleveland Browns are 4-1. Browns fans should be throwing parades because I don't know how long it's been since this has happened. But what do you think the Browns are for real? Like, how for real do you think the Browns are?
You look at that offense, it's ridiculous. It's an embarrassment of riches. Nick Chubb is on the IR, and they still are a firepower offense. Baker Mayfield is finally starting to put it together. Since that rookie year, the beginning of that rookie year, I feel like you haven't really seen it from him, but you knew he had it. I don't know if you agree with me on that.
I mean, I think he, as a leader and intangible wise, I think Baker Mayfield definitely has it. I think he's struggled a bit with accuracy, right? But for me, like before the Colts game, they were ranked 4th in offense, 27th in defense. It's probably jumped up because the Colts are the number 1 defense, were before the Sunday game, and the Browns basically just did whatever they wanted with them. I mean, there was this stat that kind of hinted that the Colts were going to be bad against the Browns because the Colts are great defensively against 11 personnel. What that means is that a tight end and 1 running back set, right? Formation. But they're horrible defensively against 12-man personnel, which means 2 tight ends and 1 running back set, right? The Browns play the most 12-man personnel out of every single team this season so far. So it was a matchup that was bound to make the Colts look embarrassed on the defensive side of the ball, and that's what happened.
And I think that just hand in hand with Baker Mayfield starting to put it together a little bit, you're starting to see Odell Beckham looking like he looked in New York, an elite top 5 wide receiver in the NFL, and Jarvis Landry playing as well as he's played since Miami. Those 2 guys hitting on all cylinders, and Kareem Hunt showing that he is still potentially a top 5 running back talent in the league. When they get Nick Chubb back, I wonder who is going to be able to stop this offense if they keep hitting on all cylinders like this. And I think that it helps that they've had some time now with Kevin Stefanski, who didn't get the normal rollout as a head coach with the OTAs, the training camp, the preseason. So now, 5 weeks in, they're really starting to build that rapport. And with all those guys clicking, all those guys on the same page, that offense is dangerous. And the defense has been solid too. And Myles Garrett has been proving that he is one of the most impactful defensive players in football.
And in my opinion, I mean, before the season, I thought the Browns were going to be a playoff team. And I say that because I was high on Kevin Stefanski from the moment he got hired. I thought he was going to be a great coach for the Browns. And it couldn't have been a better fit, right? Because in Minnesota, you turn that offense into like a top 6 offense, right? And you look at the personnel from Minnesota and Cleveland, it's like the same personnel,
Very
right?
similar.
You have Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen. Cleveland, you have Odell, Jarvis Landry. You have Kyle Rudolph. Cleveland, you have Austin Hooper, right? Offensive line, both of them were iffy, right?
Yeah.
Cleveland actually has a better offensive line. Running backs in Minnesota, you had Dalvin Cook. In Cleveland, you have Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. So from the moment that Kevin Stefanski was named the head coach, I said, oh, this offense is going to be really good. And it couldn't have been more better for Baker Mayfield because this basically revitalized his career. And they're 4-1, and Baker isn't even playing at the level that he can play at. He can play way better still, right? So I just feel like it's a perfect fit for the Browns, and they're 4-1 right now. So I definitely see them winning making the playoffs. I don't know if they're like first in their division or second. They're probably like second or third, right? Because I know Baltimore and Steelers are there.
The only tough thing is their divisions. The Steelers at 4-0, the Ravens at 4-1, themselves at 4-1, and even the Bengals at 1-3-1 are a very tough opponent. Like, you are not going to walk over the Bengals. I feel like they remind me of the Dolphins, where although they might not be as talented or as good of a team, they're not a team that you could. They're not the Jets. They're not the Giants. You can't sleepwalk through their week. And I think that division is going to be so much fun to watch down the stretch. I think that the Bengals are going to play spoiler for one of those 3 AFC North teams. I don't know who it is.
Not going to be the Ravens, that's for sure.
I don't think it's going to be the Ravens, but I think that one of those 3 teams, especially the Steelers or Browns, are going to suffer a loss to the Bengals during the season, and it's going to kill them come playoff picture time.
To be honest, I don't see it because I think that division is just filled with good teams. I think Bengals could play spoiler to another team. I don't see it in this division, but this was a correction I have to make. The Vikings were actually 8th in offense last year, right?
And now look at them.
Yeah, and this is with a bad old line, right? Browns have a good old line. They thrive off of play action. Same thing Minnesota thrived off of last year. I think this team's Achilles heel is going to be when the run game isn't working and Baker Mayfield has to drop back and pass like 30, 40, maybe even 50 times a game. That might be where we see the limit of this offense, right? But if they're able to, if a team forces them to do that and Baker plays phenomenal, then we're like, wow, this offense, there's really no way to stop this offense, right?
Yeah.
But this is their schedule remaining, right? They're 4-1 right now. The remaining schedule is the Steelers, the Bengals, the Raiders, the Texans, the Eagles, the Jaguars, the Titans, the Ravens, the Giants, the Jets, and Steelers again. So just off like the gimme wins, right? Giants, gimme. Jets, gimme. Jaguars, I think they're a gimme. And I think the Bengals are a gimme, right? I think those are 4 gimme games.
That is a super, super light out-of-division schedule.
Yeah, I think those are 4 gimme games, so that's 8 wins right there. So then their games that they have to win against are like the Steelers, the Raiders, the Texans, the Eagles, the Titans, the Ravens, and Steelers. So if they can win 2 of those 6, they can be a 10-6 team. You know, before the Colts game, I had them finishing at 9-7, but now I have them finishing at like 10-6, 11-5 around there. My expectation for them, though, I think they make the playoffs. I'm not sure if they win a playoff game. It depends on the matchup. If they would win a playoff game and make it like far, like the AFC Championship or even maybe like the divisional round, they'd be exceeding my expectations.
Oh, let me ask you something. Without getting too far off the topic of the Browns, are you sold on the Steelers?
Yeah, I am sold on the Steelers. I think, yeah, I am. Because they have an elite defense. Ben is back. They have weapons. And their offensive line is great. So I'm really high on the Steelers and their coach, Mike Tomlin. He's a great coach.
That's the biggest problem for me is you look at that division. If you're sold on the Steelers, which it's hard not to be with that defense, you know, I don't even know if Ben Roethlisberger is back to being Ben Roethlisberger, but with that defense, your offense just has to be solid. And they have been more than solid through the first 4 weeks. And Mike Tomlin, like you said, a great head coach. And then you look at the Ravens, we know what the Ravens are. They are as close to a juggernaut as you can be without being the Kansas City Chiefs in the NFL over the past 2 seasons. And are we looking at this and saying that we talked about it in the NFC, where we think the NFC West could have 3 playoff teams? Can the NFC North have, or the AFC North have 3 playoff teams this season?
Yeah, absolutely, because you look at the divisions, AFC East, it's going to be the Bills, maybe the Pats, right? That's
the Patriots at 2-2. They have to get Cam Newton back and hope that they get back to form.
So maybe the Bills and the Pats, right? You look at the AFC West, the Chiefs, they're going to be there. The Raiders
will give you a run for your money. I don't think the Broncos or Chargers are going to make a run.
And what about the AFC South?
And then the South, you have the Titans at 3-0.
Only one team is going to win the division in the South.
And then beyond that, you have the Colts at 3-2. And the Texans and Jaguars are too far gone at this point. Yeah. So maybe you do see the AFC North have 3 playoff teams.
And not to mention, I think that there's going to be an added slot too, an added playoff team this year. So the Browns are definitely going to make it. There probably is going to be 3 teams that make it in the NFC North. Because like the 4 gimme games are kind of like those gimme games are really important. The Browns can't lose those games.
I've been really impressed by the Browns, and I'm happy to see them being successful because I like Baker Mayfield. I wanted him for the Jets that year, that big quarterback year. I was hoping the Jets would get Sam Darnold or get Baker Mayfield. Of course, they end up with Sam Darnold because the Browns scooped up Baker with the number 1 pick, and he's finally starting to look like he's worthy of that number 1 pick.